So, as Mark said, this is part of a wider programme of work, so why are we here? Well, this is the first design week of a series of 4 design weeks. Outside of those weeks, we're doing some separate work to understand how services currently operate in this locality. So we're looking at shadowing staff, we've been doing that, we've been looking at performance data, we've been looking through patient notes with their consent, just to try and get a flavour of how the services currently are. This first design week, as I say, then follows on from that, and we'll build on the principles of previous stakeholder events that were held, that some of you may or may not have been at. As Mark said, the outputs of these 4 weeks will then be put together with that understanding of how services are currently operating, and we'll create a plan, both trusts and the CCGs will create a plan of how they're going to move services from how they currently operate to this new design. What that means is what you design in this week and the other 3 weeks is how it's going to be, as Mark said. We need to take all of your expertise, all of the expertise of people in the wider focus groups, and this is what the service is going to look like. So it's in our gift. We're not here just to chat about it and then it'll be put on a shelf. This is the real deal in these 4 weeks. The plan for this week, we need to get into some real detail about access systems, who's going to do what, when, how. Importantly, what skills and attributes those people will need to deliver an access system, what supports and systems they use, and crucially, what do we expect the result to be. So what is a good access system going to look like? What's it going to feel like for service users and carers and staff working in that system? The ideas that we come up with, as I said, Paul is here from comms. Between Paula and Clara, they're going to be sending stuff out to wider focus groups. So we've got staff focus groups, there's online things for service users, carers, members of the public to chip in ideas too. So we'll be doing a to and fro with the wider world. That takes the pressure off us a tiny bit, but not a lot. It basically means that we've got a kind of sense check going on outside this room. So if we come up with something new and radical and different, there are people outside this room we'll cross-check that with. We'll bring that feedback back into this room, so during the week we'll be talking about the things that are going on outside and what people are saying. Some of the things that we might come up with, some of the issues, might belong in one of the future workshops. So this workshop this week is about taking requests for help and dealing with those, deciding whether that's urgent, not urgent, whether the person just needs advice or support. If, for instance, we get into a conversation about the urgent bit, well, we're going to capture that on a list, a parked list as it's called, and that will be then taken into the urgent workshop or taken into the routine referrals workshop. So all of the things that you come up with, we try and stick to the scope of this week, but we won't ignore the things that belong in other weeks. We'll just capture them and move those forward. As well as systems and processes this week, we're very keen to capture things about the culture of what this access system is going to look like, what will it feel like for people, what will it feel like for families and for service users and for staff, as I've already said. We need to think about attitudes, we need to think about communication, anything else that we think people need to work in the system or to receive the service to make sure that this is the highest quality. So we're working on that as well as systems and processes.